Thank you for taking a ride on the Freedom Train podcast series. I'm your host, Joseph Ward, and as always, ride with me is my homie, Mr. Patrick Irvin. Remember, the Freedom Train podcast series is brought to you by PAX Inc. That's PACTSINC. And PAX Inc. is a black development organization aimed at developing the black community to its maximum potential through a focus on education and economics with the traits of hard work, honesty, and integrity. For more information, make sure you visit www.pactsinc.org. That we can learn more about the organization, the members of the organization, why the organization exists, how long it's been existing, what it does into the community, and just everything about it. Also, you can get involved. They have a tab that you can click on that says Involved, so you can get involved. So make sure you visit www.pactsinc.org. Also, while you're online, make sure you visit our Freedom Train website at www.freedomtrainradio.com. As you know, learn more about myself, Patrick, all of our other hosts of our shows. Learn more about what the Freedom Train has on the horizon because we are expanding. And as you know, we've been telling you about the new weekly lineup. Mondays we have the Fix Sports Podcast. And actually now the Fix Sports Podcast will be coming at you on Mondays and Fridays. Every Tuesday you get the Block and Nickel Money Party hosted by Donnell Durden. Every Wednesday you get this show, the Freedom Train Podcast Series, as well as the live showing of Office Hours with Professor Carl Tone Jones and Erica Tobert. Every Thursday you get the Lessons from the Screen Podcast with Patrick Irvin. Every Friday you get the podcast of Office Hours with Professor Carl Tone Jones and Erica Tobler, as well as I said earlier, the Fix Sports Podcast. Every Saturday you get Tea Time Black Women Talk, that podcast, as well as the On the Shoulders of Giants podcast. And we're expanding. We have more and more things that is coming on the horizon. Got some hip-hop coming, getting your ID checked, all that stuff we got going on. And, www.freedomtrainradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Freedom Train Net. Follow us on Instagram at Freedom Train Network. Like our Freedom Train Facebook page. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Freedom Train Network, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. We're there, so you can't miss us. What's going on, Pat?
Not much, man. Just giving everybody a heads up, put more pressure on the people doing the work. We also got a radio station, a live radio, internet radio station coming online shortly. And we got an app that's in the test phases right now for the Freedom Train Network. We're going to be with the app, the live radio station, not to mention bringing on the news. And, we got a lot of things brewing.
We out here.
Behind the scenes.
We out here.
Oh, shout out to our sponsors, too. I want to shout them out. There's a team of them working real hard right here where I'm at in Charlotte. My sponsor is PAX Inc. So they got a after-school program that's going to be started up next year in a couple of different schools. They got a homeschool co-op that's going to be started up, and they got they have a mentoring program and a summer program in the works. So shout out to that team here in Charlotte. Is working real hard to do big things.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, you ready for this show, man?
Yeah, buddy. Rolling like a big shot. Chevy tuned up like a pit stop.
Man, I ain't heard that song in so long, man. I love these follow-up interviews, especially from people that we had a good time and was able to build a good chemistry with. So today we have a follow-up interview with Mr. Tracy Maxwell, and he has been really out here doing his thing in the community. It's been 3 years since we last spoke with him, and I can't really believe that much time has passed. I'm proud that we're still around. I'm happy that we're still around. But 3 years has passed since the last time we had Mr. Maxwell on. So give people a little update on who we got here on this podcast today. So Mr. Tracy Maxwell is a nationally and internationally known and sought-after expert trainer for law enforcement courses and quasi-military behavior style modification programs. He has worked and trained law enforcement officers in both Abu Dhabi and Dubai United Arab Emirates. He is a United States Army retired veteran, first sergeant who served with distinction in the United States Army Military Police Corp Regiment. Upon retiring, he became the first commandant of the Florida Youth Challenge Academy, an at-risk paramilitary high school in the state of Florida located on Camp Blanding in Starke, Florida, serving troubled youth ages 16 to 18 for both males and females. Under his leadership and guidance, the Florida Youth Challenge Academy was voted the best challenge in the nation in 2005. He co-founded numerous grassroots mentoring programs for youth, at-risk youth, and throughout the state. And Mr. Maxwell has just, like I said, he's just been doing this thing. So I need y'all to get up off y'all feet, put y'all hands together, man, in the little shirt. Go ahead and get everybody ready for Mr. Tracy Maxwell.
Brothers, good afternoon, good evening. Patrick, Joseph, how you been?
We're great. Thank you for being on here again with us.
Thank you for having me back. And I want to send a shout out to you guys and tell you I'm very proud of the work that you're doing and continue to do in the community. I keep up with you guys. I may not say much, but I'm definitely keeping up with you. So a shout out to you guys as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. And, definitely been an inspiration, been an example that's been set by you and others that we've been doing our best to follow. So we appreciate what you have been doing as well, and we thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of hard to interview movers and shakers who out there actually doing stuff and not get the itch to go out and do something yourself.
Absolutely.
Y'all are definitely motivation for us.
Well, I tell you guys, looking at the work that you're doing, it keeps old guys like me moving forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. All right, Pat, you got the first question.
Don't be all humble, man. Accept the compliment with a smile on your face.
I am.
Well, I'm smiling.
Yeah, I am. You got the first question. Let's do it.
Mr. Maxwell.
Yes, sir.
For those who ain't cool and they don't know that you was on our show 3 years ago, although I'm sure now they're going to go back and listen, right, everybody? Right. But for those people, can you give them a little bit of background information about yourself and what you do?
Yes, sir. I'm a native of Florida, born and raised in a little small town called Perry, Florida. Famous for a couple of things now. 3 years ago, we were famous for probably one thing, and that was our donuts. But now we have a 3-time Super Bowl running back who's from my hometown. So a shout out to LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah.
So I finished school, believe it or not, in 1979. Attended Florida A&M on a football scholarship. Played under Rudy Hubbard for a year. Realized that I wasn't going to be a LeGarrette Blount, so I changed my profession, where I joined the United States Army, and I served there until, as Joseph said, I retired from the service. Didn't stop moving when I made a decision to retire from the service. I went right into helping troubled youth, helped youth all over the state, did that for 5 years. Went over to Gainesville Police Department, did some work there for the police chief, Tony Jones, with his youth program there by the name of Riker House that has been around for over 20 years. And then I wanted to get back into law enforcement a little bit, so I went out and did some work with Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Miami for 3 years. Got tired of the palm trees, and I prefer pine trees over palms. So after 3 years, I came back up north, and I did some work in Georgia for the Federal Bureau of Prisons for 3 years. I think my thing now is 3 years and 3 days, because both places I was there for 3 years and 3 days. And after those 3 years, in 2014, I had opportunity to travel abroad again because I love traveling outside of the United States and just gaining knowledge. Had opportunity to do some professional training in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, training their police and corrections officers. So that's just a quick snapshot of what I've been busily doing for the past 3 years. But in between that, just been giving back, man, to young people and parents.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember you sent me some pictures of you training. Also, I saw some of you in Abu Dhabi and all those places. So can you kind of give us a little bit about your experience in Abu Dhabi and how it's kind of different from training people or what you learned over there that you were able to bring back and to help enhance your training?
Absolutely. The first thing right off the bat, guys, is their work days and their training days is Sunday through Thursday. We in the United States work Monday through Friday, but their work days is Sunday through Thursday. So I had to adjust to that. Of course, the time zone difference is about 13, 14, sometimes 20-hour differences depending on the time of the year. So, of course, you have to adjust to that. Met some beautiful people there, law enforcement professionals. With these guys, though, what I noticed, unlike us, we in the United States are in a hurry to do everything. And over in the United Arab Emirates and in the Middle East, they're not in a hurry to do a whole lot of things. Example, if class starts at 8 o'clock, I mean, sometimes I could expect those guys and ladies in there about 8:50. And if I had 50 slides to get through in a slide presentation, during the course of an 8-hour day, I may get through 15 or 20 slides. I mean, it's just their culture is different, but you got to understand, too, their crime rate was only about 3 to 4% crime rate in the whole country.
Right.
Unlike the United States, I mean, we're incarcerating people at a rate that's just crazy. But the incarceration rate is low. The people are very peaceful. The people are inclusive. I think, Joseph, some of the pictures I sent to you, I could have brought some of them brothers over here and put them in Tallahassee, and you would have thought they were born and raised in Tallahassee. So there's a lot of disinformation that I see that is cast about people in the Middle East on CNN and some of the other news networks that I would just encourage people, get your passport, visit other countries, visit other people, and you'll be surprised of how much you really do have in common. From a training standpoint, because of the language barrier, when I first went over, it was somewhat hard, but I had a translator. I had a translator who stood right beside me and was able to translate to my students in Arabic. And then as I went back and forth over, I got more comfortable with the language where I could hold conversations and teach classes. But believe it or not, a lot of the officers that I dealt with had been to the United States. As a matter of fact, I had a couple of them had graduated from Miami, University of Miami. So there is an exchange program for Middle Eastern people to come over and obtain college degrees, which a lot of people probably didn't know as well.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yes. One of my guys he was a crime investigation guy, worked in what we call the CID department, and he graduated from UM. His name was Saeed Ali, and he was a UM graduate. Okay. Which I went, wow, that was truly interesting. But I tell you, those guys and ladies, they come in their Mercedes-Benz tricked out on Sunday through Thursday, or their Range Rovers is tricked out. And on Thursday, they want to get out of class early, and they coming in their Ford F-150s and they tricked out Jeeps. And they want to go ride the sand dunes and pitch a tent and barbecue.
Okay. Yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pat.
No, I was just gonna ask, why do you think that that cultural misunderstanding is there? Like, why do you think we aren't shown the similarities that we have with them?
At the end of the day, Patrick, that's a great question. At the end of the day, this world is about natural resources and being the top dog. That's what this is about. It's about money and resources in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to tell you guys that. And so what you're going to do, what you're going to find, people in power is going to always beat down what they think is a small man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing that I've learned spending my time in the service, and I would go and do it all over again, is that you first got to get the nation's support backing you in order to go and invade somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got the United States backing you, then you basically can go over and be a shyster and rob anybody you want to rob. But again, some of the most inclusive, intelligent people I've ever met has been in the Middle East. I've met guys that own oil fields, and that's how they get their revenue. It's about oil.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys were some of the most hospitable people who I went into their homes and broke bread with.
That's great.
So at the end of the day, it's about those resources.
But like you said, it's about us being able to get our passports, get outside the country, and see things. Because there are a lot of people, especially our people, who haven't gone outside their own neighborhoods.
Yes.
And they believe that life is only as much as what's around them. And we shortchange ourselves when we don't really get a chance to get out and explore the world and see what the world has to offer. So I'm definitely with you on that.
Absolutely. What you find our people do, they go to Cozumel, which I love, Cozumel. We're going to go to Jamaica. We're going to go to Bahamas. But I encourage people all the time that have a passport and love to travel. Go to Dubai. Go to the United Arab Emirates. Go to Qatar. Go see Saudi Arabia. And the first thing, I vividly remember I spent Christmas and New Year's over there a few years ago, so I was wishing everybody happy holidays back in the States. And believe it or not, you would go in the mall, and there's Christmas trees everywhere in an Islamic country, playing Christmas music and Christmas trees everywhere. You say, well, wait a minute, that's Christian. No,
right.
That was in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. So I was calling back to the States, and one lady chimed in, and she said, Tracy, where are you? I said, I'm in the Middle East over in Abu Dhabi. And she said, oh, my, be careful over there. Those people are chopping people's heads off. I said, well, wait a minute. I just looked online, and one city that I won't call that city's name in Florida just had their 116th murder. And I'm over here, and they haven't had a murder in almost 23 years. Now, who's really safe?
Right.
know?
That's that media, though. That's that
media. It's the media. You got to get past that.
Yeah. Definitely with you on that. We'll take a story and run with it. Won't even verify it, but we'll run with it, though. So
that's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a powerful point you just made, though, about them. They haven't had a murder in 23 years, and you just had over 100 people killed in Florida. That's
this year.
Yeah. Yes. So who's really safe?
Well, we had a show last week about social engineering, and that plays into how social engineering is so powerful, because you can get a group of people who live in a dangerous environment to believe that their environment is safer than other environments who are actually safer than theirs. So
that's right.
Yeah. So I want to ask, because the trainings that you have been doing have kept you real busy, and you're going around the country. So can you get a little more detail, as much as you can, about the trainings that you conduct and how you actually became a trainer?
Great. I'll start with the second part first. Having spent those years in the military, it allowed me, with my background being military police, it allowed me to get some specialized training. And one of those training programs that I had the opportunity to work in was the Advanced Law Enforcement Training Division under my old boss, who did 30 years, Joshua Paul Perry. Shout out to Sergeant Major Perry up in Birmingham, Alabama. We trained at that time pretty much all of your shock incarceration and juvenile boot camps in the nation, from California up to Massachusetts back in the heydays of the 90s, all the way up into 2003. Civilian law enforcement officers at the federal, state, and local levels came to Fort McClellan, Alabama, and later Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and trained in shock incarceration programs. And through the years, those programs got a bad rap. Some of them deserve a bad rap because those people did not take advantage of the civilian training that was provided and offered to them. And some of the people looked at the recidivism rates of some of those programs. And I can tell you, Joseph and Patrick, I can go set up a boot camp program anywhere in the United States today, but if I don't have the aftercare piece, the follow-up piece, the social skills piece, the education piece, that's the job skill piece. That's the most important piece when you're putting these programs around. And those programs that understand that have still flourished, even though it's not that many today. In the state of Florida, I can only think of one that's still in the state of Florida, which is Miami-Dade Rehabilitation Boot Camp there in Miami. They have been around since the 90s. And as a matter of fact, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, did a show called Rock in a Hard Place. He did a documentary last year, and those officers that actually worked in that program and on that documentary, pretty much 92, 93, 95% of those people, I trained every one of them. And I did have the opportunity last year to talk to the producer of that documentary for The Rock, and he was impressed with those people. I mean, the one that I think I can recall right quick is still around also is New York State. New York State prison has probably perhaps one of the largest shock incarceration programs still in the United States. And probably 95, 96% of their people were trained by us. So once you understand the dynamics of the program and what you need to do in those programs, then they're successful programs. I think another tool that you have to have a great screening process, because there's no such thing as a cookie cutter program that's going to work for all young people. Some people will thrive in a shock incarceration or a paramilitary style organization. Some kids will not. You have to have a great screening process. So I think having worked in that arena had opened the doors up for me to do a lot of other different things. I've worked in prisons at the adult level, federal level, and I've seen guys look like me. But, you try to drop those jewels everywhere you go. One of the great things I tell people, I say, how could you work in a prison? I mean, I could have easily been in a prison. When you look at all of the things, all of the factors out there, the socio-economical factors, I was born to a single mother. My mother was 19 years old when she gave birth to me in little old Perry, Florida. My mother made 50 cents an hour as a domestic worker cleaning up people's homes. So I look at kids, and I remember my own childhood, and I could have easily, if I'd have been born in this time and place, fall prey and be one of those kids that's locked up. I see no way or no hope. And I always think about that. I wake up every morning thinking, how can I impact the lives of families and young people?
That's great. That's what we need. I mean, it's rough out here, and I tell people all the time, it's rough out here and it's real out here. And we need as many advantages as possible, because we come up in environments where we're used to being disadvantaged. And so even when we look at people who do have advantages, we look at them like they did something wrong when their parents did what they're supposed to do. So being able to have those alternatives, even though they may not, for some people, they may not be the ideal alternatives, there are alternatives nevertheless that can help our youth be able to make better decisions and become better people now within our society.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Pat.
Yo.
Quiet.
No, I was trying to formulate what I was thinking about into a question, because when he was talking about working in the prisons,